Today we are talking about the SEC. We are talking Clemson and North Carolina potentially joining the conference. What are your thoughts on those teams? I know we were talking about them and the Big 12, but it looks like the league, the whole country is investing in North Carolina and Belichick.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, this is not surprising. We talked about it the other day. Go back and watch our ACC or Big 12 video where we're talking about also the ACC. I'm not surprised again because some of the details that came out from that settlement with the ACC was that there was going to be much lower buyout options, after a couple of years. So with Clemson already saying like, "Hey, I'm testing the waters. I then necessarily didn't say that they wanted to leave before they settled that lawsuit, but there was like tension between Clemson specifically and how the ACC leadership handled some of the media rights and handled some of the money, and they felt like it was mismanaged. So I'm not surprised that Clemson there. The big surprise for me is North Carolina, if I'm going to be completely honest. I didn't see that coming.
Yeah, no, the North Carolina thing is kind of crazy when it's like they're not even competing in their current conference, but because they have Belichick, I think there's going to be potentially 8 games that could be shown on ESPN for North Carolina this season. I think they're really banking on that and hoping that Bill can turn them around a little bit. I think even Clemson can't really compete in this SEC. I think they would get destroyed week to week throughout the SEC, but they're the biggest name right now in the ACC, so I really don't see this happening. But for anything other than money reasons, and I saw someone jokingly tweet, "Is North Carolina basketball even good enough to compete in the SEC?"
I think Clemson's better. Like, I think they're better suited for the SEC. No, I mean, we know that the basketball program there at North Carolina has been the pride and joy. It's been the bread and butter. It's been like, I think eventually, I think it would develop well in the SEC. I think Clemson would also develop well in the SEC basketball wise. I think football wise, you're right. I don't think Clemson would be able to hang in the SEC. I'm not an SEC truther, but I think we can it's the SEC and the Big Ten are the two conferences that matter in college football. We're going to be honest. And I don't think I think Clemson would fare better in the Big Ten rather than the SEC.
I'm not like this, oh, SEC is so dominant, blah, blah, blah. But Clemson is, I don't want to say soft, but they play a different style than the SEC. And plus, like, their receiving, they haven't been able to get amazing play at receiver, which the SEC has now become explosive on the offensive side of the ball. I just don't know how they would keep up, especially like the defenses are still good in the SEC. You have to put up points against elite, talented defense and physical defense week in and week out. I just don't see Clemson really competing with that. And North Carolina they'd be like a Mississippi State level.
That's the thing. Like, we're a few weeks removed from, is Belichick going to even make it to the first game? Is North Carolina imploding? We are just a few weeks away from that. And now we're talking about, oh, everybody wants them. They're going to move up to the SEC. Like, this is crazy. What a crazy like swing of events. Like, I just don't see that like all in one off season happening. And so with North Carolina, like, yes, I think that if Bill goes in there and builds a straight pipeline, hey, I'm one of the staples in the NFL. If you come to me, I know how to get you into the NFL, and everyone will listen to me a little bit more than they will someone else. I think that's like a good swing, but I need to see it over 2, 3, 4 years.
And here's the thing, I think people are comparing this to Dion and Colorado and being like, well, imagine what Bill's going to do now better than Dion. But Dion went to the Big 12. I think there was like, he wasn't going to go somewhere where he didn't think that he can build a program quickly and compete. I'm sure I have to look back. I don't know how many Big Ten or SEC schools he got, probably none offered, but I think it was strategic to go to the Big 12 where it is kind of wide open and you could quickly turn the program around. And Bill has to, one, show that he can compete in the ACC, and two, show that he can keep recruits longer than one season. Because the way his style of coaching, he's going to run them into the ground. If they're not producing 10-win seasons, I don't see that, like, a lot of their players coming back.
Yeah, I mean, and it's tough too, because if you think about, if you're North Carolina going into the, like, let's just take the latest addition to the SEC, which was Texas, Oklahoma, right? And you are not Texas. You are not going to, if anything, Clemson is going to get the Texas treatment, where it's, hey, let's roll out the red carpet. Let's make sure that you compete in the SEC. We'll give you a softer schedule. Oklahoma had a gauntlet of SEC play. It was crazy. Clemson is not going to get that. North Carolina, you are getting the gauntlet. If anyone's going to get the Texas treatment, it is going to be Dabo. It is going to be Clemson. North Carolina, no, you're going to have your cake and you're going to eat it too. We're going to stick it to you, buddy. I don't think that they would have a, like, conquering heroes welcome into the SEC. I think everyone would be chomping at the bit to, knock Bill Belichick down a couple pegs if this did happen.
Definitely. I think we saw Oklahoma has looked awful some weeks. And it's not like there's weeks or two where you're like, okay, they're competing. They're a team. And I think they're just not at the level of the upper echelon of the SEC. And I think right now, this is before I see a Belichick North Carolina squad, but if you put Oklahoma against North Carolina last season, they're running them out the fucking building. That Oklahoma team is mopping the floor with North Carolina. And we're talking about North Carolina coming over here to try to be relevant in the SEC. Is that too much to ask?
Well, and even then, let's consider, like, this was also an Oklahoma team that had also just kind of like North Carolina hopes to have a marquee coach that brings in players that can do the job, right? And as soon as they get into the SEC, that coach leaves and takes another job, and you're sitting there holding the bag with an SEC schedule and you have no players that he recruited. Like, that might happen to North Carolina, where they petition with we have Bill Belichick, we're getting better, we're doing all these things, and as soon as it happens, Bill Belichick's out the door.
Yeah, that's a huge possibility because he wants to be in the NFL. He wants to try to break the wins record in the NFL. So imagine this does break all North Carolina's way. They're dominant. They get 10 wins in the next 3 seasons, and they're about to enter the SEC with this buyout rule that the ACC made. You don't think NFL teams are going to come calling? They'll be like, hey, you have 30 wins over the last 3 seasons, and we're the fucking Jaguars. Like, we are terrible. You don't think they're going to come calling? There's even rumors swirling around with the rumor that Nick Saban's gonna come to the Browns to coach Arch Manning next year. Like, there's teams desperate every season, and if this goes perfectly for North Carolina, you're just putting yourself in a bigger situation to lose Belichick. And then if I'm a recruit, why would I go there?
Yeah, again, you're rolling into the SEC with the wrong Belichick. You're rolling in with Steve Belichick because you put it in the contract. You know what I mean?
All
Like,
it
bro,
takes is Belichick's girlfriend to say, "Hey, I don't want to be in Chapel Hill anymore."
yeah, hey, you know what? Actually, I don't like this. Let's go back to the NFL, babe.
Let's retire. Let's go back to TV.